If you're looking to bring home a fantasy baseball championship this weekend, I've got you covered with 10 great waiver wire players that you need to add on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino, riding solo today. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube, we would truly appreciate it if you could hit that little bell below. It would subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, most importantly, guys, give us a chance on the Subtext platform. Through Subtext, it's an in-depth personalized experience, offering so much more than we can in this 30-minute episode. And if you are interested in joining us on Subtext, you can find the link wherever you're listening, watching, or available on any of our social media platforms. And now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. And all right, guys, we're in the crunch time. We're at the promised land. Most leagues have already wrapped up, or if not, you're in the midst of a championship. And this weekend, if you are fighting for a championship, I got 10 great names. I got 10 must-add players. We're going to stick with a similar format that we've been doing, I want to say, for the past 3 weeks, going forward through the end of next week. At the end of next week is when, pretty much the season wraps up, and we're going to move into our off-season episode. We'll still be with you 5 days a week through the next couple of months, and then I think we'll tamper off to 3 days a week, around December, January, around that time, and then we'll start ramping back up, and before we know it, it will be next season. But like I said, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. I know you guys, most of you are locked on for this championship weekend, and you need some players to add. Let's get started with it. Let's talk Luisangel Acuna, who plays for those New York Mets and is Ronald Acuña Jr.'s little brother. Got the call, and we told you to pick him up. If you were in the Diamond Club, you got the alert, and boy, oh boy, have you been not disappointed at all. Luisangel Acuna, 5 runs, 2 homers, 4 RBIs in his first 15 at-bats, and he's hitting .467, second and short eligible on Yahoo. He has been hitting 9th for that Mets lineup. Homers in his last 2 games, as I am recording here on Thursday. He went 3 for 4 on the 17th with a homer and 2 RBIs, 3 runs. On the 18th, a homer, 2 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Hey, listen, they're not going to have time to figure this kid out. It's just not going to happen. He's 17% owned on Yahoo. Get him while you still can. And I'll say this too. I know it's a very, very, very small sample size. It's like I said, only 15 at-bats, but the kid is smashing the ball, hitting it really hard. All the underlying stuff looks great. It's a very small sample size. But I think Acuña has some Jose Altuve in him. I think I called him Jose Altuve light when we spoke about him last time. But I see the comp. I see the speed. I see the little bit of power. Looks like he could tap into. He's 5'8", 181 pounds. If you weigh 181 pounds at 5'8", that means you got some muscle on you. I'll just say that much. And he's only 22 years old. With Ronald Acuna being his older brother, kind of, he's getting the best training in the world. He, gets to train with his brother and his brother's trainers, and I'm sure there's a lot going into the development behind the scenes with Luisangel Acuna that we're not seeing. I'm just going to trust the name brand, and I'm going to trust, the talent. He's been has had mediocre results in the minors. I'll say that. Has struggled at the higher levels when it has come to batting average. Has been successful with the speed for sure. The speed's been, his main thing. 57 steals in the minors in 2023, 40 in the minors in 2022, and 44 in the minors in 2021. Like I said, the batting average on, if you're counting the whole, through each season, very good. But if you break down each of those seasons by level, has struggled at batting average, the higher levels Luisangel Acuna has. So, I mean, you're talking about him going forward, like, you can see the skepticism, but you can see the upside as well. But just for adding him right now, he's going to be successful. So I would just ride the hot hand out until the end of the season here with most of these guys, with Luisangel Acuna probably leading the charge there. Let's move on to this next guy. We've been talking about him a lot this year, Connor Norby. He was on a lot of our podcast episodes before he got the call and before he got traded, and he gets traded over to Miami from Baltimore, and gets a chance to really just go out there and play. Hasn't looked back since the trade over to Baltimore. From Baltimore to Miami, Norby's just been really good, heating back up again. Had 4 runs on September 17th, went 2 for 3. Big sign there for me. Looks like he's bouncing back a little bit. Went 1 for 4 on the 18th. Let's see if he can ride the hot hand. And then even back on September 8th, had a 2-homer game. The game before that went 2 for 5 with a homer. Norby has the talent in the minors. He's been a big power guy. Hits for average as well. He's got the batting average up to 259 on the year after struggling for a lot of time with Baltimore before coming over in the trade. I like Norby, and I don't know if I threw out his ownership percentage. 49% owned on Yahoo. It's actually down. I like Norby. I'll take him. I think he's going to, just be solid. In the midst of a little bit of a struggle, like I said, but you know what? He had, the big game the other day, on the 17th. So it's in there, right? You don't want to miss out on a guy like this, especially if you need the help at second base. Second base has been tough, injury, stuff like that. If you need them, you could feel free to add them. I like me some Connor Norby. Let's keep things pushing here. Let's move on to this next guy who is a little bit out of nowhere, and I'm not super familiar with him. I won't lie to you. Let's talk a little bit of Otto Lopez. Otto Lopez has been around for a couple of years, also playing for those Miami Marlins. On the year, 108 games played, 370 at-bats, 43 runs, 21 doubles, 6 homers, 37 RBIs, 18 steals, 22 walks, 71 strikeouts, and a 262 batting average for Mr. Otto Lopez. Might not be my favorite guy that we're talking about today, but you know what? Right now, it's just about a juice in the orange, riding the hot hand. And if Otto Lopez is getting it done, why not throw him on the roster for now and just see where it takes you? Second and short eligibility for Mr. Lopez, and he's been hot. He's been pretty good of late. I'll read you off his last few games here. On September 18th, Otto Lopez went 2 for 4 with 2 runs, 2 RBIs, and a steal. Went 2 for 4 the day before that with a homer. On the 14th of September, Otto Lopez went 2 for 3 with a steal and an RBI. Hit a home run the day before that. So this kid's just been on a tear. As I mentioned, he's not somebody that I know too much about. Doesn't really have too much prospect pedigree or buzz outside of that. Underlying stuff, mediocre. He's a true definition of juice the orange play. I just ride him while he's hot. Not too much to add there. Moving a lot quicker than I did yesterday. If you were tuned in there with me, let's talk. We'll do one more guy. Let's talk Nolan Schanuel, and hopefully I could give you guys a nice little breakdown on Shanuel, as it is. Shanuel is one of Matt's guys. But Shanuel, 13% owned on Yahoo, very young, raw talent. Been hitting third for those Angels. Not that they have much other options, to be honest. I hate to say it like that, but they truly don't. Shanuel's been on a little hit streak here. I want to try and count this back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 game hit streak for Shanuel. During that hit streak, he has 7 RBIs, 4 steals, 3 runs, a homer, hitting for a lot of batting average over that time. Shanuel, I think, is a guy that's going to figure it out, right? Shanuel is, I want to get his exact age because I know he was literally only drafted, I believe, a year and a half ago, maybe almost 2 years ago at this point. Made his major league debut last year. 22 years old for Nolan Schanuel, 6'4", 220. Love the size on the kid. But as I mentioned, he was just only drafted in 2023, got the call in 2023, second year in the bigs this year, 141 games for Shanuel, 251 with 13 homers and 9 steals. I like the prospects of him. I think he's going to be a guy going into next year, Nolan Schanuel, that you're going to have to pay pretty much nothing for, maybe in those deeper leagues a little bit. But in most, like a 12-man league, your basic type of league, I really don't think you're going to have to pay too much for Shanuel. And you know what? He needs to work on the exit velocity and barreling up and that stuff. But you know what he is really good at? He doesn't chase. He doesn't whiff. He doesn't strike out a lot. He walks. This is a guy who can really turn a corner if he just figures out how to tap into that power. And being 6'4", 220, I don't think it's going to be a problem long-term for Nolan Schanuel. Let's see, did I give you his ownership percentage? 13% owned on Yahoo. Widely available for Nolan Schanuel. But before we move on and talk about our last hitter and we move into our pitcher segment, coming up next, Parker Meadows is going to be the last bat. And I got some fun starting pitchers that if you could stream this weekend, the likes of Montas, Louder, and much more. And those names are coming up next. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is always guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. And are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And then Matt and I, once again, want to talk to you guys about the Locked On Fantasy Baseball Podcast Diamond Club on the Subtext platform, your ultimate fantasy baseball companion. As this season wraps up and we head into the off season, you can rely on Matt and I for our dynamic content. Get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call notifications, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. All right, guys, I teased it at the top. We'll get into them. Let's talk a little bit of Parker Meadows, right? Parker Meadows is actually the younger brother of Austin Meadows. I just love seeing the family lines, come up through the bigs. We've seen so much of that over the past few years. Parker Meadows, big boy, 6'5", 205, is showing out. He's been playing pretty good. On the year, numbers aren't super impressive, but let's break them down. 73 games played for Parker Meadows, 236 at-bats, 35 runs, 11 doubles, 6 triples to 8 homers, 27 RBIs, 9 steals, 22 walks to 66 strikeouts. That's not that bad. A 242 batting average. As I said, on the year, not super sexy, but Meadows has been better of late. I think there's talent there in the young bat, and I think that I know that Detroit team has been really, really good of late. A couple two-hit games on the 16th and 17th from Meadows. Homered on the 14th, homered on September 10th. Also in that game on September 10th, he had 3 runs and 3 RBIs. So as I mentioned, Meadows has been better. It's weird. Meadows goes back and forth from hitting leadoff to hitting ninth. Either way, it's still, I prefer the leadoff spot, obviously, but ninth isn't horrible. You can get driven in a lot at 9. Meadows has had a decent amount of runs of late. He's 21% owned on Yahoo. Not my favorite guy we're talking about today, but there is upside here. He has power. He steals. In your points leagues, that's a lot of triples. I will say that. He runs around those bases pretty fast. Let's do this because now I've got myself curious now. I kind of want to see where the sprint speed at is for Parker Meadows. The sprint speed, actually 93rd percentile sprint speed for Parker Meadows. I figured that. I was like, he's not getting that many triples unless he's really, really fast, and he is. So he's going to steal some bags. I probably more of a fan of him in points leagues because the walk to strikeout ratio isn't horrible either. So Parker Meadows is somebody we could look at, probably more of a deeper league, points league type of guy. But you know what? If those Detroit Tigers keep playing the way they are and he's leading off for them, he might be a must-add everywhere. And honestly, if you need him and there's no better options, I like him. So I think you could feel good about adding him. Let's get into the pitcher portion of this podcast. And I actually only got one closer for you, and we're going to talk about him first. And we've talked about him a bit lately. Let's talk about Porter Hodge, Chicago Cubs, taking over the closer's job there. Jorge Lopez has hit the IL. And Hodge is, I don't want to say running away with it fantastically, but he's been really good. His last one was a blow up against the Rockies on September 14th. Couldn't close that one out, unfortunately. But before that, he was clean. Before that, Porter Hodge was very, very clean. Hadn't given up a run in a long time, so we can let him get away with that one. On the year, Porter Hodge has 3 wins, a 2.08 ERA, an 0.92 WHIP, 39 innings, 48 strikeouts, and he has 5 saves to go along with that as well. He's only 36% owned on Yahoo. I'm probably just going to go out on a limb and say that's because it's really not that many people active right now for fantasy baseball, just the people that are competing for championships. So I can see why he's so lowly owned. But if he sneakily somehow managed to stay out there in your league and you need a save going into the weekend, I think we could trust Porter Hodge. I'll say this, if he has the job going into next year for the Cubs, which I don't see a reason why he won't unless they want to do the timeshare thing with Jorge Lopez. I like Hodge. He's somebody that I feel like we can get late next year, that there's going to be a value one, and I like those guys. I'll throw this out there. Why not? We can talk a little bit about next year. So when it comes to closers specifically, my strategy is always I like to get me an elite one, probably like a top 3, and then I'll bottom out. And then I'll take a couple of the bottom, like maybe like a 20th, 19th ranked closer, to go with my big closer. And I usually like that strategy. It's been working out for me for the last few years. And Porter Hodge, the reason I talk about that strategy is because hopefully Porter Hodge could be like that 18th ranked closer next year, and we can get him for a bargain. And I think he could potentially hold down the job all year long and be very good for us. And in the short term, absolutely love the pickup. I think they have a good matchup against the Nationals or some scrubby team going into the weekend, and they could potentially win some games, and Hodge can potentially get you guys a save. Let's move on to a starting pitcher here. Let's talk Rhett Lauder. I like Rhett Lauder, and he's actually been really good. He's another guy that got called up a month ago or so now at this point. If you're with us in the Diamond Club, you got the alert. And Lauder's first 3 starts were very, very strong. And then on the 15th of September, Lauder went out there against the Twins, got hit around a little bit. But let's talk about Lauder's numbers on the season. 4 starts in the bigs for Lauder, a win, a 1.74 ERA, a 1.26 WHIP, 20 innings, 17 strikeouts, and he gets the Pirates on the 21st. Pirates really don't scare me too much. Not too many threatening bats in that lineup. I think Lauder, I'll throw a line out there of 5.2 innings, 5 strikeouts, an earned run, and like a 1.20 whip. I think that's very Rhett Lauder-ish, and maybe he pulls out a win in that one too because the Pirates are not very good. 24% owned on Yahoo for Lauder. I like that stream. I think it's a good one. And before I give you these last 3 names, and maybe I'll tease one, Frankie, Montas, and friends, stay locked on because those names and more are coming up next. And guys, I am talking about my friends over at FanDuel. You've heard us talk a lot about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime and what a great deal this is, guys. I talk about it every time we talk about FanDuel. You don't want to miss it. If you are unfortunately not in a fantasy baseball championship, you'd be silly not to miss out on this deal this time of year. You won't see it again when it's gone, so make sure you take advantage of it now through September 22nd. Check this deal out at FanDuel.com. And all right, guys, we're wrapping things up here, and it's so sad because, it just reminds me that's the end of the season, and, I love me some fantasy baseball, and I know you guys do too. But I teased it. Let's talk Frankie Montas. He's been good of late. The start, I believe it's against the Diamondbacks. Yeah, it is against the Diamondbacks on the 22nd, which I believe is Sunday, and at worst, he gets strikeouts. Montas has been a strikeout machine over his last three. Against the Rockies on the 6th, 10 strikeouts, 6 innings, gave up 3 runs. The whip was good, though. On the 12th against San Francisco, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 6 innings, got the win, 0.67 whip for Frankie Montas. And then against the Phillies on the 17th, gave up a few runs, but had 10 strikeouts, 5.2 innings. The whip was a little elevated. Like I said, kind of a strikeout play for Montas, who's 28% owned, pitches to those Milwaukee Brewers, in case you forgot. I like it. I mean, I'll throw them out there if I need strikeouts. If I'm trying to suppress ERA and whip, though, probably won't do it. It's just a tough one because those Diamondbacks have been hitting, and Ketel Marte, Carroll, those boys are really getting it done. If you can manage around them, though, it's not like a deep lineup, but those guys that are hitting there are really hitting. So don't super trust him, but I like the play. Let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk a little bit of Aaron Civale, who is a teammate of Frankie Montas, which unfortunately means he's going to be getting those Diamondbacks too, but a day earlier on Saturday. Civale, 43% owned on Yahoo. He did have 2 starts this week. Was good in his first one against the Phillies. 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 earned run, a 1.6 whip is a little high, but Civale's been better of late. I want to say since August 9th, the numbers look a lot better than they had all season. The ERA is down over that time. The whip is mediocre, but around a K per 9. So, I like that from Civale. Was really hoping that, Tampa was going to unlock that next level for him when they acquired him last year. Didn't really happen. Goes over to Milwaukee. Like I said, has looked better. I think he'll fare better than Montas in the sense of runs and whip. So let's service it like this. If they're both available, I'll take Civale if I need the ERA and whip prevention. I'll take Montas if I need the strikeouts. If one or the other is available, kind of just make your own best judgment by the information I'm providing you with here. I do like the 2 of them, but Arizona's just been such a good team. There's not many options left this time of year, guys. If there's better options than this out there, take them immediately. It's tough. We're all going for championships. It's cutthroat, so like I said, just you do the best that you can right now. And I will say this, if you are in a championship, join Matt and I on Subtext, link in bio, and you can literally send us your whole roster, pickups, everything like that. It's a free 2 weeks. Take advantage of it if you're trying to win a championship. I think it's a great opportunity. But yeah, I do like me some Aaron Civale, 43% on Yahoo, matches up against the Arizona Diamondbacks this weekend on Saturday. Let's move on to this next guy, Matthew Boyd. He actually might be the last guy of the episode. We shall see. Boyd has been stellar. Didn't expect him to be this good. I own him almost everywhere. I know I dropped him. Matt picked up 1 or 2 other leagues. Really stellar. Through his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 starts this year, he had 1 bad one. Looked really, really stellar. Kind of got bad against the Twins on the 16th of September, which was his most recent start. 2.2 innings, only got 5 strikeouts. He gave up, it was only 2 earned runs, but in those 2.2 innings, it was bad because he had a 3 whip, was just giving up a lot of runs. Matt Boyd has the Cardinals on the 21st. I like the matchup, 47% owned on Yahoo. Boyd on the year, 7 starts, 2.52 ERA, 107 whip, 35 innings, 40 strikeouts. Boyd's going to be interesting for next year, too. I like him against that matchup against the Cardinals. I'm going to say I like Matthew Boyd this weekend more than I like Civale or Montas. I probably like Rhett Louder around the same as Boyd, but you know what? As untrustable as Matthew Boyd has been throughout his career, I'd throw him out there Saturday if I really needed it. I think there'll be some strikeouts. I don't think he'll give up too many runs. I think the whip should be okay. And I like the prospects of taking Matthew Boyd as like my 6th starting pitcher next year and just benefiting from it, because I think the Guardians are pretty good at tapping into, another level with starting pitchers. They've done it with a lot of them over the years. So I think Matthew Boyd might become a part of the list. So I feel comfortable streaming him this weekend. 47% owned for Matthew Boyd. With that being said, guys, not going to wrap up quite yet. Just want to say, thank you to all of our fans and listeners, because you know what, it's a long season. And if you're still listening at this point, it probably means that you're a true fan. You guys make it possible for Matt and I to do this. It was a dream of Matt and I's many years ago to be able to do this podcast. And now we do it, part-time. We make some money off of it. It's fun. And we really enjoy having you fans, like everyone that listens and comments and just benefits from this, podcast that we do here. It means the world to Matt and I. And, sound off in the comments once again. I've been saying a lot lately. If we've helped you at all, if you enjoy the podcast, if you're in the battle for a championship, if you won a championship, even if you made it to the championship and lost, we want to hear about it. We just love to talk fantasy baseball with you guys. And you know what? If you join the Diamond Club, we're going to go talk about a lot of stuff all off season. We'll still be here doing the podcast, but the Diamond Club will give you some deep cuts. We're going to have prospect rankings, dynasty rankings, way too early rankings for just regular, every position, coming over the next couple 2-3 months. So that's going to be fun to do with you guys. And just kicking it in the Diamond Club is always a fun time. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Not too much else to add here, guys. Just truly appreciate everything that you guys bring to the table for us. And you know what? Let me see if you're sticking around here. Let me see if I got one more name left for you. Let's see if we got something special. I know we talked about Hunter Goodman a lot. I'll throw Hunter Goodman's name out there. 14% owned on Yahoo. We told you to add him, and what did he do? He went out and hit a couple of dingers on the 16th and 17th. That's a fun name. Who else is out here? A lot of guys. You know what the thing is? Not so much pitching out there, guys. Not a lot, but a lot more hitting out there still available. Let's see who else is out there. Davis Schneider heating back up for those Toronto Blue Jays. He's a fun one with that second base eligibility. Had a 3-for-4 game on the 14th. On September 15th, went 2-for-3 with a homer. On September 17th, went 2-for-5 with the homer. So that was 3 games straight with a homer for Davis Schneider. If you played fantasy baseball last year, remember he was a kind of came out of nowhere kind of guy. 9% owned on Yahoo. Let's see if I can sneak in one more, maybe 2 more. Gabriel Moreno has just come back for those Arizona Cardinals football mode. Arizona Diamondbacks. 2-for-5 against the Rockies on the 18th, and 2-for-3 against those same Rockies on the 16th. He's back. 34% owned on Yahoo if you need a catcher in a 2-catcher league. And then his teammate Randall Grichick, also of those Arizona Diamondbacks, on September 18th, 2-for-4 with a homer, 2-for-2 with a homer on the 14th. And the 18th, he went 2-for-4 with a homer. The 11th, he's just been hitting home runs, Randall Grichick. So if he's out there, 6% owned in deeper leagues, probably deeper cut there, AL only or NL only, stuff like that. Guys, with that being said, shout out to our new listeners and everydayers making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. Make him your second listen each and every day. Matt and I always put our fantasy baseball take on everything. Sully is more of a broader take, covering the whole league in depth. And as those playoff comes around, I personally listen to Sully playoff time. Does a great job breaking down the league, and you want to make sure that you're there. But guys, you know what? Until next time, once again, truly appreciate all you. Won't be back with you till next week. So once again, until then, guys. So yeah.